the undeniable nature of everyone. Know that nature to be yourself, pure space, vast indivisible space, the vast expanse of indivisible pure space, your own awareness. That vast indivisible expanse of pure space is aware. It is aware. And that awareness that is the great reality of everyone, know that as yourself. Just because you've been having lots of people saying, no, you're the sperm and the ovum, those two together, that's all you are. You're a biological entity, and you've got a mind cooking in there, and it makes everything work, and then you've got all kinds of nerves, cells, blood, muscle, bones. That's what you really are. Just because everyone's been telling you that, come to your own conclusion. Come to your own conclusion. Know yourself to be vast as infinite space. Vast awareness, infinite space, pure space. Never held on to anything, never contained by anything as paltry, as measly, as mundane, as pedestrian as a sperm and an ovum. That's all okay too, but unless we know ourselves as we really are, we can't possibly know anything about the sperm, the ovum, and later on. We can't possibly know. Unless we know ourselves as we are timelessly, to know yourself as omniscient, timeless awareness, then it's impossible to really know anything about time and space. If we just look at everything from within time and space, then that's all that we see. When we know ourselves as beyond time and space, beyond causality, then we understand both causality and we understand time and space. Otherwise, we'll only be in time and space and within cause and effect, the state of the world right now, and everybody will be pointing to something beyond causality, beyond time and space. Oh yes, there's something beyond causality, there's something beyond time and space. And there really is, and you might be able to know that you are that if you can find somebody to get you enlightened. So you see, this is the dilemma. We might hear about it. For most of us, we're never in a circumstance where we can even get the key points and pivotal instructions that really bring the full evidence of that into play for us in ordinary life. We never find those circumstances. We might find lots of books, lots of teachings, lots of places to go that kind of point to that. And maybe once in a while someone in that setting will know that they are that. But we don't have settings, by and large, where completely perfect enlightenment is available to many people. The completely perfect enlightenment that already is the birthright of everyone. So we're not talking about something we haven't got, that we have to get, that is some destination off in the future, including millions of lifetimes later. We're not talking about something that is inaccessible or indirect or hidden or obscured or esoteric or anything else. We're talking about the reality of our own being. Know yourself as unlimited awareness, never constrained or constricted, restrained, or limited by any word. What are words? If you're pure space, what are words? Who made up all the words? Pure space. What does that mean about the words? All the words are like configuring the sky, the blue sky, into all the letters of the alphabet, and then shaping them into all kinds of sentences, paragraphs, treatises, declarations about everything. But what are they? What are they all along? They're all pure space. And we can't really understand that. We can't understand the reality of our human life or come to terms with it as individuals, as families, as communities, as a world, unless we know the reality of our own being. So start with the end in mind. If the end you have in mind is enlightenment, start with that. Start with the direct experience of that, and upon that build your experience of living, rather than seeing enlightenment as something that happens within a realm of cause and effect. So any kind of teaching that purports to be a teaching of non-duality and states that there is a personal identity or an ego that is identified or fixated on something is a teaching of duality. It's a teaching of duality. That's simple. There's no middle level that needs to be rectified, transformed, analyzed, purified, made into something other than what it is, because we already are what we are. And all that we are is all-inclusive awakened awareness, vast as infinite space, never collapsed into anything, never collapsed into any point of view. But as long as we take ourselves to be points of view of the pure view of awareness, that's what we'll be. All a human being is self-knowing awareness, pure space, self-knowing awareness. And the whole play of human life is that self-knowing awareness in each moment of time, as each perception arises, has a choice to know itself as awakened awareness or to know itself as a point of view, bound by cause and effect, bound by time and space. So what do we choose? What are we going to choose here? Already accomplished reality that doesn't need to be attained, that isn't dependent on circumstances. So we don't need any circumstance to be who we are. And there's no one who owns who we are. So we don't need anyone who's an owner of enlightenment to give us permission to be enlightened. We already are enlightened. Without the reality of our awareness, we would not be. So our awareness is the root of everything, absolutely everything. And this awareness, it's not some kind of washed out, impartial, neutral reality where there's nothing going on, where there's just this and nothing else, coming to some kind of conclusion that's fatalistic, neutral, or impartial. Rather, that aware basic space that is the reality of what we are is inseparable from compassion. So just as the wetness of water is inseparable from the water, or the warmth of fire is inseparable from fire, compassion is inseparable from aware basic space. To settle for some idea of oneself that is limited to impartiality, neutrality, emptiness, nothingness, no thought, no self, a non-conceptual state, the void, even bliss and clarity. We don't need any ideas to prop up what we are. None. One moment the description of what we are may be bliss, the next clarity, the next nothing, the next no thought, the next no self. But that doesn't mean that's what it is. Do you see what I'm saying? That's just like saying we're anything else, a body, a him, a her, or whatever it is. So we don't need any ideas. No points of view do we need to prop up our awareness. Awareness doesn't need anything to tell it what it is, because awareness is primary as everything. Without awareness, no thing would be, no appearance would be. So to understand that something is either non-existent or existent, these are just two extremes. These are two extremes, but they're extremes neither of which apply to a definitive description of awareness, because awareness cannot be gotten at through intellectual speculation, and it can't be gotten at through metaphorical approximation either. So the reality of our own awareness is to know that in each perception, no matter what it is, that perception is awareness. It is awareness and nothing else. There's not a subject looking at a perception which is an object and then deciding the subject is awareness and the object or the perception is awareness too. There's only awareness as the perception. That's it. There's never been a split. There's never been a division. There's never been a fragmentation of any kind. Awareness has never suffered a fracture, any kind of a fracture, not ever. So no matter if we look at all the words and we take ourselves to be all the words in the dictionary and life to be all the things in the dictionary and the world and cosmos to be all the things in the dictionary, including consciousness, then whatever those things are that we decide upon, that's what will be. That's all that will be. When I was 7 years old, I looked around and I thought, wow, you know, everyone is just who they think they are. And if I try to be like anyone else, then I'll end up just like they are. If I copy that, then that's the way I'll end up. So I saw that was nowhere to go fast. That didn't look like how I wanted to spend my life. And you know, we all see lots of ideas, but it's up to us as to who we take ourselves to be. Whoever we take ourselves to be, that's who we are. You know, it really is so simple. There's no complexity whatsoever in that which has never known complexity. So the rest of our own being, the complete ease of our own being in its natural state that doesn't need to reify, to get caught up in perceptions and descriptions, to shape them, form them into elaborate stories of what everything is, that ease is the essence of our being. It's the secret key of our being. And, you know, we can wait around forever for someone to tap us on the forehead and make us realize the reality of what we are, or, you know, hope that it'll come from somewhere outside ourselves. But the reality of what we are is that we already are what we are. And in the ease of our own being is the acquaintance and full familiarization with what we are. The full evidence of that in every moment of life is each perception. It's not separate from each perception. If we try to get rid of all the perceptions, at some point they'll flood back in, even if we can hold them off until we're on our deathbed. When we're on our deathbed, then they'll flood back in, because you see, we lose our capacities when we're dying. Did anyone know that? When we're dying, we lose all our capacities. We can't grab onto all the objective supports. We're just going into pure space, and we don't have anything to hold on to. So to try to hold on to any kind of state, like nothingness or emptiness, it won't be the reality of what we are, because you see, we're neither nothing nor something. That's what it comes down to. We're neither nothing nor something. All we can really say about ourselves is that no matter what we are, it has no origin that's independent of awareness. Without awareness, we would not know that we are. Without awareness, we would not know that we're naturally present. So just that ease of awareness that is the reality of every single perception, it is the full evidence of enlightenment. There's no full evidence of enlightenment outside every perception. And we never know what perception will happen next. So, you know, if we're waiting for some kind of sudden enlightenment, it's unlikely we'll ever get it. But if we're acquainted with the reality of our own being, then it's very likely we will know who we are, and the full evidence of that will be real. But it really requires that we not persist in taking ourselves to be all the words in the dictionary. You know, a him, a her, a body, a mind, memories, thoughts, emotional states, sensations. As long as we take ourselves to be those things and limit our life to the confines of that, it's like living within a corral, you know, one of those places where they put horses, cows, and such things, such animals. We'll live our life within a corral of all of our own words that we take ourselves to be. So, you know, it's up to us. What do we want? What do we want? Do we want the great adventure of the reality of what we are in every moment? And if we want that, it's ours. It's really that simple. And as I said a little while ago, it isn't circumstance dependent. So it doesn't matter if we live in India or in America or Europe or Africa, South America, Australia. We can live anywhere and know who we are. We don't need to be in a special place. Nor do we need to be in any kind of special setting. We can be in certain kinds of setting that are label spiritual settings if we want to, but it isn't necessary. The reality of our being, if you want to call it spiritual, it is spiritual. But we could just say, well, it really doesn't have a category. It's neither spiritual nor non-spiritual, it just is. And when it comes to us as human beings, what we can say is that we all already are it. We all already are what we are. So know that as yourself. Know yourself as all-inclusive awakened awareness that was never collapsed into any idea of a mind, a body, an ego, all of these other labels of what we take ourselves to be. They're all fun. They're all fun. There's no denying it, to have a body and to be dancing around this life and knowing humanness and that kind of thing. There's a lot in that that's really, truly tremendous. But we really can't know anything about it. We can't have a sublime knowing or understanding of that if that's all we take ourselves to be. So when we rest just at ease as the essence of our being, with this understanding that we're nothing but pure space, aware pure space, then with each perception there's greater and greater ease in our life with no limit. So, to think of enlightenment, awakening, or liberation as a destination that is some kind of fixed reality that we enter into that has no change whatsoever is incorrect, because we can't really say either that it changes or it doesn't change. We can't really say anything about it. Any word we try to use to describe our all-inclusive awakened awareness just limits it to something. The ease of every single perception that is vividly awake is the reality of what we are. It's the reality of what we are. It's all happening right here, The nothing that ever happened is all happening right here. Everything is contained in everything. That's so amazing. You see, we can never figure out anything like that through intellectual powers of reasoning. Once we get into everything is contained in everything, then we're in the reality of that which is beyond cause and effect, beyond time and space. No more learning. The reality of no more learning. The all-inclusive awakened awareness that includes and contains all learning that ever was, is, or will be, timelessly so. So how do we describe that? Or how do we ever talk about entering into something that we already are, or getting something that we already are, achieving something that we already are, reaching a destination of something that we already are? We all see that would be a detour. That would be a detour. When we start to think of something that is uncaused, unborn, the reality of what we are as timeless, infinite space that is entirely aware, when we realize ourselves to be uncaused or unborn, why would we look within the realm of something that is caused and born, seemingly so, to try to find our answer?